All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I'm going to go ahead and make this video because a few people asked, what does it take? What does it take, Pastor Dow? I'm going to go ahead and make this video at the building site at an undisclosed location out in Kentucky. Somebody said, what do you mean undisclosed? That means none of your business. But anyway, I am a working pastor. I know many people have never, ever heard of such a thing because your idea of what a pastor is totally contrary to what the Bible talks about as a pastor. You know, it's amazing how that Jesus was a carpenter. Paul was a tent maker. They all had occupations and stuff, all that knew what to do. But today, people just want to preach to somebody, collect tithes and offerings, and preach some more and think they've done their job. Now, it's a whole lot more involved than that. But I am a hard-working pastor. I'm a working pastor. I actually work. And, of course, there it is again. You see them rough hands that look like the bottom of some type of goat hoofs or something like that? That's rough hands for being a working pastor. They are very, very rough, both of them. See them? And I think that teaches something. But anyway, let me go ahead and take you out to the building site and let you hear what I had to say. So while I'm answering this video, mind you, I'm not getting on anyone. I'm stating facts. I'm answering a video question based on what somebody had out there. You're not gonna see too much of me today because I'm just gonna be entirely too busy. But anyway, y'all have a good weekend. All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple of questions. Can't make too many videos today because we're going to be busy. But I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple of questions for those of you out there who are interested or have shown some interest as far as building goes. Hey, brother Brett. Hey, come here for a second and pick that camera up so that they can hear. I can make sure that they're hearing me well since they are they're soliciting my advice. It's right there. You can keep it rolling, okay? All right. We're out here again at an undisclosed location, building what you call a home. And when people have asked me over and over and over again, where did I learn how to acquire these skills? Most of you have never heard my story. I'll say it again and I'll repeat it again, okay, just for the sake of YouTube here. All right. Man, we sure didn't. Anyway, for the sake of YouTube here. All right. When I purchased land back at Straightway on that community, the first thing I did, because there was two trailers already on the land, older trailers, and the first thing I did was I started going around to construction sites. I looked at and see how much it would cost in labor just to get people to do a job. And it was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. And I just couldn't afford having somebody to come out every time I needed something done to pay them. So my logic is that if I learn how to do it myself, then I don't have to pay them. Now, is it going to be time consuming? Yes. Is the learning curve steep? Yes. I started doing all this in my late 20s, early 30s. I started buying books, started reading them. I started getting my hands out here and literally putting my hands to the plow to learn how to do all this. All right. And of course, I was speaking with Elder Austin the other day because you realize we just come from South Carolina. And down there, he called me last night and he says, hey, Pastor, I know you're not going to be here for a few weeks and stuff, but however, I do have a few people that I could get to lay some blocks. And you have to understand, one of these blocks right here, that's a block. They want anywhere from $3.25 a block, one block, to lay it, down to $1.75. Now, that's a steep price considering this area up here. Now, considering that we're probably going to have about 600 blocks here, that's close to $2,000 if you go to $3.25 a block, 1,900 something. I personally had the theory, the logic of this. I thought that if I learn how to do this trade right here, which is necessary because you're going to need it for every foundation, I figured that if I learn how to do it, I could take that money that normally people would pay somebody else, and I could put it in more building material to buy for the actual building itself and not pay them. And guess what? It's worked out pretty good, because when you start factoring in labor out there, you're going to be out a whole bunch of money. The homes that people buy today has a lot of labor costs into it. That's the majority of the building. At least half the cost of every home is the labor. Now, what if you learn how to do it yourself? All right, for instance, you saw us out here on a mini excavator. We were digging a footing. Well, first of all, you have to know the theory. You have to know the logic behind digging a footing. You have to know how to square a pad. And you have to know how to run rebar. You got a lot of things you got to learn how to do. And plus, you have to learn how to operate, be it a backhoe. If you got to level out a pad, you need to learn how to run a dozer. You need to learn how to run a mini excavator. There's a whole host and plethora of things you have to do. Then you have to, this right here, you can't build nothing without this. We used to have we still got a manual transit on the land. This is a self-leveling transit. And that makes things a little bit quicker and easier for us. But we used to do every building at straightway. By manual transit. Now that when I go out and stuff, I use this particular self-leveling transit. And you're not building any building without it. You've got to know how to operate the transit. You have to educate yourself on the transit. You have to know elevation. You have to know up is down, down is up. You have to know how to use it. And it's a steep learning curve, is it not, Brother Britt?
It is.
It's a steep learning curve. When you get that, you got to have square. You got to know how square building too. Most people don't know how square building. And it's easier said than done. And then you have the actual labor to factor in itself to actually do the pour the concrete. And pouring the concrete is a total different dynamic. Everything is different. That's the reason why in the world they have somebody to do the dirt work. They have somebody to actually do the rebar in the footing as well as pour the concrete. Then they have somebody come out and lay blocks. All these are experts. And then from the blocks, they have the framers to come out. That's what they do. That's the only thing they do is frame. Then they have the plumber to come out. Then they have the roofers to come out. And then they have the electrician to come out. Then they have the sheetrocker or the drywall to come out. All of these are things that you, if you're planning on being independent, self-sufficient, you need to learn these skills yourself. Because I don't make enough money. And I know that you don't make enough money to pay all these people out here all the labor that they want. So you know what that means? That means if you are a man, you got to get off your dead ass. You got to stop making excuses, because you're not going to go hocus pocus and will a building into place. You've got to inconvenience yourself. You got to prepare your mind for 14, 16 hours a day, daily, every day with the exception of the Shabbat. You have to get your heart ready and your mind prepared. And most people's heart and mind is just simply not prepared. Because after you lift this 50-pound block and you fool with that block and you lay down, let's say if you get proficient, you put 200 of them things down. That's not including bringing the blocks onto the pad, moving the blocks into position, and then turn around and having to deal with them intricately and laying them. That's not even including any of that at all. And those things get heavy after about 8 hours. 8 hours of work. And so there's a lot that is desired, must be desired. And I can tell you right now, people, they can talk community. They can make all kinds of excuses all they want about, well, we working, when I get home, I'm tired. It'll never get done then with it. Because I was telling people the other day that, yeah, I mean, I'm building stuff, but I'm now at the place where Pastor Dowler's not going to be running around doing all this building, because I got enough wisdom to teach. Now you have to apply the same knowledge that I've done. You've got to do it now yourself, because now it's time for me to get into the writing stage. It's time for me to get into even more the ministry stage, because if I am preaching every Shabbat, and if I'm doing blog talk every Friday night, if I'm doing scripture study, I do scripture study about 90% of the time of the year. 95% of the time. I preach 99% of the time on the Shabbat. If I'm running around doing meetings, and in between all that study, if I'm doing all this, and then I have to come out and spend 8, 9, 10, 12 hours just to work on any land that I go to in order to do a building, I don't have too much time for what you call rest. Last night, I fell asleep at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, 6:30, and I woke up at 12:30 and been up ever since. That's because I'm extremely tired because we've been working a lot lately. And I'm saying that because those of you who are going to be leaders, or those of you who are going to build your own homestead, I'm letting you know what you're getting ready to get into. Now, you don't have to get into it. You can let somebody else do it. You can buy it all out and then go into debt, but I preach against debt. And that's the reason why that when we get finished with a building, no matter where we go, the building is paid for because we pay as we go. And that's my advice to you. So most people wanted to know, but then again, you might not want to know after hearing this video right here. You might not want to know everything it's going to take. Because after this, after we lay the blocks, which I'm teaching some brothers how to do that, we're going to frame the building. We're going to frame the building. And if you ain't never framed a building, how can you frame a building? I learned how. I remember my wife, she said to me, when I build a home on the land there Straightway, I told her I'm going to build some custom cabinets, and I bought some rough cut, kiln-dried lumber that I had actually planed down with a planer to level. And she's seen this lumber stack. It looks just like these trees out here. And she says, you're going to build cabinets out of that. Now, she never questioned and she never doubt, but she had, I don't know if it was not doubts or not, but she was kind of concerned because she had never seen me build any cabinets. What did I do? I applied myself. And what are we having a lack of today? People applying themselves. It's not that I'm a greater man, because I'm not. I'm a lesser man. As a matter of fact, any man that's willing to teach is already letting you know that a teacher in itself, he has to humble himself in order to teach others things that they need to learn and do. Once you learn this is something that will stay with you no matter where you go. If you're doing a garage, you're doing a carport, you're building a tabernacle like we did. We built our tabernacle. We built our dining hall. We done all this, but once you start getting this stuff and you get in your heart, you start getting it done. Now I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be physically tired, physically exhausted, and you're gonna have a lot of bumps and bruises. But I tell you what, it sure is nice doing this and not worrying about debt, though, and that is the truth. So if I said anything, I try to put that in your heart today, that you're gonna have to get off of your lazy ass, and you're gonna have to instead of doing a whole bunch of talking, you're going to be doing a whole bunch of doing. Now, I actually went to a couple of building sites, and I asked them, could I work with them for a couple of days, because I've got the type of mind, I can see somebody, I can see what they're doing, and then I can figure it out and do it. Everybody's not like it, but I am. We have a few people like this. Most people, they call it being visual. And I would ask questions, but not to get in their way, and I would go and ask them, could I work for them for free that day? I wasn't looking for any money at all, because I had something greater in mind. And because I invested that time, energy, and effort and inconvenience, missed many days of meals at the community Straightway, because I was out working with the people in the world, learning and watching and seeing what they're doing. When I got back home, I would read the books, doing even more study, just so I could get all this down in my heart, get it down in my spirit through repetition, and now I'm able to build a home. And you're able to build a home too as well if you apply yourself. You can do it. You really can do it. But if you are building your own homestead, if you're a community leader, I'll say it again. If you're building your own homestead, your family is not going to have a roof over your head if you don't do nothing. If you're a head of a community or head of a home fellowship, if you don't learn all of this, every aspect, you don't have to be the expert, because other brothers can learn different things. But if you don't learn the foundation, and you should know how important it is to learn and know about foundations. If you don't learn the foundation aspect of this and stuff, you can forget any homestead, any community being built, because it's not going to be built. So, I mean, I'm 50 years old now. My one is almost closed, because I'm closing it. I'm closing it with all the labor we've done, and it's time for the next generation to come on in. But I can tell you, if you do not, and I keep stressing this, if you don't get about doing, you can hear all day long. But the blessed ones are not the hearers, but the doers. All right, we got to get to work. You have a blessed day.